In the many years that The Howard Stern Show has been operating, there have been countless people that have come and gone through the studio, leaving their mark on the radio waves to the best of their ability. Howard has interviewed people from all walks of life, ranging from rich celebrities who crap caviar and pee gold, to downtrodden bums with hygiene problems that have nothing to their name. He wasn't afraid to talk to or about anybody, and his willingness to shed light on pretty much any story is what set him apart from his competition. Simply put, he was unmatched. While others were focused on producing clean-cut broadcasts for a general audience, Howard found his niche by being shocking and controversial. One of the most notorious additions to this now legendary but waning show was the Whack Pack. The Whack Pack is a collection of unusual people from around the world, coming from a slew of unique backgrounds, each one offering something different. You had Beetlejuice, a microcephalic dwarf whose larger-than-life personality helped him popularize the group, easily one of the most recognizable members of the crew. You also had Gary the Brainiac, Eric the Club-Footed Midget, Elegant Elliot Offen, the ever-insatiable Elephant Boy, Crackhead Bob, who was easily the most well-spoken, and the revolting High-Pitch Eric, and plenty more. You can think of the Whack Pack as a freak show that was curated for and by the king of all media, something so outlandish and deranged that their presence will never truly leave you. You're never the same person after you get touched by the Whack Pack. I have covered many members of this collection of astute individuals, and they're by far my favorite part of the golden age of the Stern Show. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved listening to Jackie giggle to himself from the back of the studio and Artie nodding off during several segments due to his love of heroin, and good golly, Richard and Sal doing unspeakable things to each other will never not be funny. But the Whack Pack offered something different from everything else available at the time. One could argue that these folks were being manipulated and used by Stern, and while that is true on some level, they also all benefited from the show in some shape or form. They often get to participate in events outside of the broadcast, and of course they got a lot of time on the radio and sponsorship deals and gig opportunities. For the most part, it was a pretty good deal, if they were quick enough to seize the opportunity. However, there is a particular pillar of the group that I've been hesitant to talk about due to there being a lack of real viable archives on them. This legend, this star among mere mortals, this absolutely beautiful unmatched unit is Wendy Pack. Trust me, the irony of her last name and the group she was assigned to is not lost on me, but fans know her better as Wendy the Slow Adult, or in the good old days of classic Stern, she went by Wendy the Retard. Wendy Pack was born on May 15, 1980 in the beautiful state of Florida. She was born with her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, limiting the oxygen to her brain, but she was quickly saved by her attentive doctors. Her mother is convinced that this is the genesis of what caused her ailment. Her childhood was relatively normal, and her parents did not notice any peculiarities with her development until she tried to walk and interact with other children. And as such, her parents took her to a doctor, in which it was confirmed that she was intellectually disabled. Her disability did not hold her back. As she progressed through schooling and even graduated, her fervorous passion to continue growing as a person is admirable. However, she had difficulty finding and maintaining employment due to her stunted cognitive function. This left her with a lot of free time at home, and with Wendy being an early riser, she was able to catch early morning radio broadcasts nearly every day. The Howard Stern Show has pretty much always been an early morning broadcast, and with how many markets Howard was able to get under his belt, it's no wonder that Wendy eventually stumbled upon what would be her favorite radio show ever. She eventually worked up the courage to call into the show on February 26, 2002. She had written a sweet little poem that she was hoping to share on the air with Howard and his co-host Robin because she loved them both so much. Howard and Robin were immediately enamored with Wendy, noting the poem didn't rhyme, but they certainly appreciated her kind words and her moxie. I'm personally very jealous of Stern. I sure wish Wendy, the literary expert, would write a poem for me. He doesn't appreciate how good he's got it.
Wendy, go ahead.
Henry Stern.
Sorry?
I wrote a poem for you.
Oh, thank you.
Not for
Yes.
you, Robin.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Howard Stern, your show rocks every morning, and I listen to you every week. And I also love the way you have a cool show every morning.
Honey, that don't
Wait a
rhyme.
minute. What happened to the poem?
It
Roses
doesn't.
are red, violets are blue. You're very special to me because I love you all.
Howard made sure to tell Wendy that he deeply appreciated the gesture, but before they could continue their exchange of dialogue any further, Howard had to know what was up with his caller. Howard and Robin knew that they had quite a special case on their hands. I mean, how often do mentally challenged people call into radio shows to discuss the finer points of life? This meant that Mr. Stern and Miss Quivers needed to ask the most important questions of their entire professional broadcasting careers. They, get this, wanted to know if Wendy had lost her virginity yet. I'll let her explain.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I love your poem, but what's wrong with you?
I was born a little retarded.
Oh, you're retarded. Okay, that's what I thought. Have you had sex?
No, not recently.
But you've had it.
No.
Have you ever tried it?
No.
Is it like that movie that, where, like, you want to go out with guys?
Yeah, the other sister.
Yeah, the other sister. Like you want to go out with other guys and stuff, but your parents won't let you?
No, my parents won't let me, but my parents will let me go out to a movie with a guy or something.
The perverse conversations didn't stop there. Howard moved the conversation toward whether or not Wendy used tampons for a personal hygiene regimen every month. It went about as well as you would expect. Now think about this for a second. This is an early morning radio show, and there's something really funny about people listening to this. Learning about the sexual proclivities of disabled people, all while sipping on a piping hot cup of joe. Wendy agreed and confirmed that her doting mother was there to help her figure out how to insert cotton into her lady bits. Howard, Robin, and their guests scoffed at the idea, but I mean, how else was Wendy supposed to learn?
Do you use tampons? Do you know what I mean by a tampon?
Yes.
Do you use them?
Yeah.
And you know how to put them in?
Yes. My mommy teaches me.
All right, okay. Well, that's got to be...
I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that bathroom.
Are you on birth control?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's what they do. Someone does that for you.
Like, help me with my tampon.
Oh, my goodness.
Would this be retrieval, or would this be the application of the clean tampon?
Retrieval.
Through their initial conversation, we learned a fair bit about Wendy's life. She still lived with her mom and went to work answering phones, though I have to question if Wendy understood what she was supposed to say. She even used Richard Simmons' exercise videos to help her get in her shapely figure. Richard Simmons was also a well-liked guest on The Stern Show that deserves his own video. We'll get there someday. So many questions were asked, but the tampon story was a major point of contention, with Wendy getting asked about the mechanics of their application.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The first time you put your tampon in,
You're stuck on this, aren't
He
you?
likes that.
did you hurt your ear?
Yes.
Yes. She said yes.
Oh, dear.
Well, you seem like a pretty cool chick.
Wendy expressed her love for various people in her area, one of which being Dirty Tim. Wendy is a local celebrity in her part of the country, and she's had a history of calling local radio shows to talk to hosts, and the name Dirty Tim certainly sounds like somebody who'd fit the role of a radio host. The more we learn about Wendy, the more you'll see that she can't be referred to as a reliable narrator because she either goes along with whatever someone is telling her or she fabricates tales. It's not like she's doing this maliciously, she just lacks the social skills required to effectively hold a healthy and functional conversation without her getting manipulated in the process. Howard asked Wendy if she would engage in some steamy telephone compilation with him. All she had to do was close her eyes and pretend that instead of Wiggy, she was speaking to Dirty Tim and his dangling hang low. I don't know about you guys or whether or not you've had heated sensual exchanges over the phone, but this really doesn't paint Wendy as a cunning linguist who can make men drop their pants just from speaking. Well, then again, I mean, she did engage with the comments about her touching her body, but it was mostly just her agreeing and saying yes. Usually what she's being asked doesn't matter. Her response will almost always be an emphatic yes.
Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Dirty Jim.
Let me tell you something. I bet you're wearing something.
Dirty
What are you wearing right now?
Dirty Jim.
What?
You know what?
Are you naked?
Yes.
Are you touching your chest?
Yes.
Is your tampon in?
Yes.
Wendy was sharing almost every detail about her personal life on the air for anybody and everybody to listen to. She had 8 cats and 4 dogs, and she even intended to get a hamster. Now, this could have been a problem for her. From my own research, I've been unable to find any city in the United States that allows citizens to have that many animals. Laws that govern just how many pets you can have are usually put forth after the city's population density and other factors are accounted for. That's also just a lot of animals to take care of. I feel like taking care of 12 animals would be tough for even a normal person, so letting her have that many creatures was highly irresponsible. Howard did, at least, give her $500 for her time. This began an ongoing saga between Howard and Wendy where she would routinely call up to ask for financial assistance. Because hey, he had given her $500 the first time they talked, why wouldn't he fork over some more funds for her later? Regardless, she already had plans for the money. I'm proud of her for having her priorities straight.
What are you going to use the money for?
I'm going to use this to help my mom out to pay some of her phone bills, and then I might buy some new clothes and like buy some CDs and stuff like that, because I'm like a big fan of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
All right, well, you won $500, courtesy of 40 Days and 40 Nights, the new movie starring Josh Hartnett. He's a hot guy. And That's coming this Friday.
You got to bring her here to New York to go to the premiere.
Wendy would become quite the frequent caller. It's not like she had much else to do in the morning other than listen to the show, so why not call in? She knew that Howard would be thrilled to have a conversation with her, but she also knew that she needed to bring something to the table. Her being intellectually disabled wasn't enough, so she decided to put her vocal cords to the test by singing songs into her phone. Her dulcet tones are unmatched. The delivery of the lyrics, the timing, the pacing, the progression of her tones, she's a master of the arts. Not many people can sing Girls Just Want to Have Fun as well as she does. Howard and Robin would snicker and clap as Wendy tried her best to bring out her emotions through music. She could feel the rhythm coursing through her veins. Quite frankly, you can't tell me that an entire album of her covering top songs from this period wouldn't have been fucking hilarious. Not to mention it would have sold tremendously well given that Stern's name would have been attached to it.
I come home in the middle of the night and my mother said, what you gonna do with your life? Always here, we're not the one, and girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls don't wanna have fun.
Her willingness to sing and cheer on with the show as they were actively laughing with and at her is something to take note of. She doesn't seem to care if people make jokes, and that's likely due in part to her not noticing it, but she intentionally goofs on herself. She invites it. Engaging with a shock jock like Stern, while still being crude, was quite beneficial for her. She only got better at dealing with nasty, negative comments. On the 21st of June 2011, Wendy had some free time in the morning and decided to call into the Stern Show because she undoubtedly had some truly thought-provoking things to share with Howard and his millions of listeners. Howard and Robin were already discussing the dangers of small-sized children's pools, and this was an ample opportunity for them to inquire about whether or not Wendy experienced complications with staying afloat in a small body of water. Howard even brought up that Wendy was once a babysitter, asking about whether or not she was in possession of such a pool. Wendy, being the doting and attentive babysitter that she is, confirmed that she did not own one because the previous pool was thrown out after concerns of children turning over and drowning in a few inches of water. You know, pulling a Jackie Jr.
Do you have a baby pool for the baby?
We used to, but we got rid of it because we didn't want the baby to drown in it.
Right, and you're a retarded babysitter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, who would leave a retarded babysitter with a little
With a baby in a pool.
That would be somebody who wanted to get rid of the baby.
Yeah.
The conversation continued to move on to the many other facets of Wendy's life, particularly just how many alcoholic beverages she likes to enjoy while taking her whip for a spin. Despite this, Wendy also admitted that she doesn't drive, so the odds of her actually getting behind the wheel and crushing a few cans of brew and even a couple civilians are pretty unlikely. This is gonna sound really disrespectful, but I did get a laugh out of the mental image of Wendy climbing into a vehicle, slamming the door shut, struggling to fit the key in the ignition, starting the damn thing, and then just downing 4 tall boys before jumping onto the interstate and merging between lanes without using her turn signals. The Stern Show really needs to utilize the whack pack like it used to. I really miss funny passing thoughts like this. Thankfully, Wendy mostly relies on her bicycle to get around in her area, or at least she did before her weight became too much to handle. Howard, Robin, and even Fred were impressed that Wendy had conquered the art of bike riding, no longer requiring the use of training wheels. Howard still had to use his, so Lord knows that he was jealous. But, of course, this was the perfect chance for them to continuously use her yes answers to make her agree to funny things, such as whether or not she hops off the bike after a long ride and huffs the pungent fumes emanating from the seat, as it had been cradled between her 2 gargantuan ass cheeks and her thunderous thighs. I mean, really, who doesn't drag their nose along their bicycle seat while taking a big whiff after drenching it in their own ass sweat? That's actually a requirement for being an avid bicyclist. Remember, guys, if you spot someone riding a bicycle, odds are they huff their own farts.
Don't drink too heavily on that bicycle.
Does your bike have training wheels?
No.
You can drive. You can drive a 2-wheeler.
Yes.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Do you ever get off the bike and smell the seat afterwards?
Yes.
And does it smell very, very foul?
Yes.
Right. Does it smell like ass or vagina?
Vagina.
More like vagina.
Wendy's actual reasoning for calling was revealed right after, as she desired to get some financial assistance from one of the wealthiest entertainers in the world. Shocker. I mean, shit, it's not like Howard wasn't raking in the big bucks around this time, as he was still a household name, and the contract he had with Sirius was still very lucrative. Money was tight, as the world was still reeling from the 2008 stock market crash. Wendy and her family were no exception to enduring this lengthy trauma. She revealed that she and her mother had been eating from dumpsters outside of restaurants in their neighborhood, as they could barely even afford to keep their bills paid. So with the cost of food being so high, they had to get a bit more creative with filling their bellies.
No, she gets off the bike and
I
does it.
just had a question, Howard. Is there any way you can help me out with some money? Because
Oh, that's the question?
That's funny. It's always the same question.
because me And my mom can't hardly keep the bills paid and for food at the time, and we've been eating out of the dumpsters. We've been going to Publix dumpsters and with Disney dumpsters.
You and your mother have been going to dumpsters.
You know this is not true.
I know it.
Howard and Robin weren't entirely convinced that the story was actually legitimate, as Wendy claimed that she was finding slices of cheesecake in the dumpster, alongside milk and other kinds of tasty treats. All of that in a dumpster, right next to genuine trash. I really don't think I need to explain why consuming dumpster milk is incredibly dangerous and seems kind of far-fetched, even for her. She even told Jason Kaplan, one of Stern's staffers, that she had been killing cats and eating them for sustenance. Once again, the mental image of her doing anything is always hysterical, but the thought of her doing something this heinous is absolutely hilarious. I implore the Stern Show to bring back the Whack Packers once more just to make some great Stern exclusives or mini-movies or something, man. They can get up to all kinds of hijinks. The show used to be so fucking good, man.
Did you tell Jason Kaplan that you've been killing cats for food?
Yes.
Who puts you up to this?
Listen, I know that's not true. You would never harm an animal.
No.
All right. So why are you lying?
Because I was going nuts yesterday trying to find some food, and I was.
You
really
have
gonna eat
food.
my cat.
Turns out, Wendy had been calling a lot lately. She'd also been asking for some donations because she was hungry. Days before, she called Jason again, suggesting that she needed his help because she had ordered a bunch of things online and assumed that the packages would have been taken care of because they were labeled as having free shipping. I gotta ask, how could she have ordered these things? Who, in their right mind, would give Wendy Pack a debit or credit card to make purchases? I'm not trying to be cruel here, but she certainly doesn't come off as somebody who should have access to funds when she isn't even entirely sure what the value of a dollar even is. Howard was still in total disbelief, asking if Wendy was still overweight. Wendy denied these allegations, stating that she was skinny at 220 pounds. Howard's argument is that if Wendy is 5 foot 5 inches and she currently weighs about 220 pounds, then she can't be starving like she's trying to say. If nothing else, she certainly isn't fit. Howard did eventually cave and said that he would talk to his producer, Gary Delabate, to set aside some cash the next time they got a donation from a sponsor. Wendy wasn't going to get the money for free, of course. She'd have to participate in a game of sorts, but at least she'd be earning her pay in her own way. However, Wendy was previously told to not call in and ask for money, because she had been doing that time and time again. If she wasn't calling in to agree with Howard or make a fool of herself, what use did the show have for her?
Wendy, you promised me the last time that you would never, ever call me about money.
Emergency.
No, you didn't. You said no emergency, no nothing. You would never do it again.
I know I did, but I have a lot of stuff I have to go do. I have to have some money stuff I have to replace because my brother hasn't replaced it yet. He kept coming over and eating my food. I have nothing left.
Is she crying?
Yes.
Even ask my mom.
I've got a suspicion that someone was putting her up to this. If I had to take an educated guess, I'd bet that her mom was the one behind these calls, pulling the strings to get her daughter to make outlandish claims in hopes of getting some pocket change. Perhaps dear old mom was having trouble getting work or maintaining her job. I'm not here to fault her for that, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that Mother Dearest was sending Wendy to the phone so she could beg for cash on her behalf. I gotta say, I have no stake in this battle and it ultimately means jack shit to me in my existence. But from my many years of observing the Whack Pack and checking in on a variety of unusual weirdos around the internet, I've come to realize that a lot of impaired individuals have toxic people in their lives that just want to make them do things that they really shouldn't. Wendy, most likely, is not an exception to this. Howard had a genius idea to break open the story and confirm whether or not the tale that Wendy was spinning was actually true. He wanted to know if money was so tight that Wendy, in a fit of hunger and desperation, had to eat her own excrement. Wendy, of course, agreed to this and ran with the question. Color me shocked.
Does it ever get so bad that you eat your own poop?
Yes, I buy my own food and keep it in my room.
No, I said, does it ever get so bad that you have to eat your own duty?
Yeah.
You ate your own duty?
Yeah.
When?
I ate the other day when I was starving.
Oh.
And you made a duty where? In the toilet?
Yeah.
And you put your hand in there and then and took it out?
Yes.
And what did you do? Did you put it on something?
I put it on a piece of bread.
Oh, my.
And you ate it as a sandwich?
Yes.
Did you put any condiments on?
Yeah.
What did you have?
I had croutons.
Croutons? Did you put any ketchup on that?
Yeah.
And where did you get the bread for your duty? From the dumpster?
Yeah.
So you found bread in the dumpster, you made a duty, and you put the duty on the bread that you found in the dumpster.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, dear.
Well, that thing sounds pretty bad, Robin.
Unsurprisingly, she said that this little bit of crab munching happened just the other day when her tummy wouldn't stop growling. What a disgusting conversation to have on the radio. But I won't lie, it did make me laugh. Think about it. Imagine Wendy's mom sitting beside her as her daughter tries her damnedest to scrape together a few bucks, all while Wendy is trying to suggest that she made a shit sandwich and ate it because she had no money. I suppose if you can turn off your brain, it does seem like a pretty viable story in order to get some pity bucks. But yikes. Poor Wendy the fecal feaster just can't catch a break, huh? Say what you will about the decline of Howard Stern and his tasteless humor, there's something truly remarkable about him getting a disabled woman to vividly describe removing duty from her own toilet, so as to make a turd ketchup crouton and dumpster bread sandwich. Thankfully, nothing much more came from this. Wendy always found a way to get something out of the show, and claiming to eat her droppings did make some radio gold. I'd say that we all won that day. The expansion of Howard Stern's business into the blossoming venture of satellite radio was quite the notable event for Stern Show history. It allowed the show to grow in new ways that were previously thought impossible. There was now an entire network of people working under Stern to create content for customers of the Sirius satellite radio service, and this would range from behind-the-scenes content to entire shows built around people that orbited Stern himself. One of these broadcasts was known as The Miserable Men Show, and it truly lived up to its name by being both miserable and hosted by men. Wendy, being a loyal follower of The Stern Show and a serious listener, also happened to tune in. She saw this as yet another opportunity to further her reach into the Sterniverse and make more friends. At her core, Wendy just wanted to be one of the boys and have a good old time. As such, Wendy called into the Miserable Men Show, which was being hosted by Stern staffer Shuley at the time, who proceeded to play some Sour Shoes soundbites for our hero. Sour Shoes is known for his on-air antics and his history of making parody songs. Wendy loves to laugh, and it certainly doesn't take much to get her to bust a gut, so it only made sense that she'd call in for a few giggles. Shuley, after paying his dues, allowed Sour Shoes to play one of his innumerable parody tracks, this time a spoof of Little Lies by Fleetwood Mac. This, for whatever reason, sent Wendy into an unstoppable laughing fit.
He wants to talk to you, Wendy. Hold on 1 second.
If I could turn the page and just erase the feel that I feel inside.
Welcome to hell, everybody.
Wendy takes humor far more seriously than others, and when she finally cracks a smile, it's hard to get her to stop giggling and chortling. I'm not quite sure what she found so funny about the song, but it proved to be just enough to get her to struggle to breathe, eventually making her vomit. Boy, I wish I had as much whimsy as her.
Oh, dear.
Oh, my God.
Are you all
Hello.
Are you all right?
Yes?
Did you throw up a little bit there?
Yeah.
Where did you throw up?
On my floor.
Shuley, trying to be a comedian and failing as per usual, checked on Wendy to make sure that she was okay. After confirming that she merely just blew chunks on her home's nice carpet floors, Shuley made sure to keep playing more Sour Shoes clips in order to further pile up her upchuck.
He cracks me up.
Oh, really? So every time you hear him, you just start laughing uncontrollably?
Yeah.
So if I were to put him back on right now,
Yes?
and you were to hear him?
We'll go back to the time, but sit down, back to this week, back about 10 times, and have you down.
Wendy had a cute little cat named Lucky, who unfortunately got caught in the crossfire between her projectile spew and the floor. We all know cats hate getting wet, but I'd wager they hate getting throw up on their fur even more. And, to make matters worse, Wendy also soiled her diaper. She was squirting from both ends, essentially screenshotting. Poor girl. But, respectfully, I'm sure it's not uncommon for Miss Pack to fill up her diaper on a regular basis. I mean, she's certainly not wearing them as accessories, right? Right? By far, one of Wendy's best appearances was on May 23, 2003. This was her first time actually appearing in the studio after calling in for quite some time. And needless to say, she was excited to finally be in the studio. Stern fans had long been awaiting her triumphant arrival to the recording room, ready to hear her voice in stunning high-definition stereo. This was a day to be remembered. In Wendy's eyes, everyone on the show was not only her friend, but her biggest fan. When she said that they were her biggest fan, she actually meant it the other way around, but she got a little tongue-tied. You know how it is. Either way, she was finally able to hear the voices from the radio box and see the faces from the TV. But, you know, in person. It was like magic manifesting a dream right before her eyes.
Hi, I'm from Florida. My name is Wendy the Retard, and I'm here to meet Howard, and I'm really excited to meet Howard, Artie, Benji, and Robin. Robin's my best friend, and I'm here to Howard's hooked me on a date to either me choose Gary the Retard or Beetlejuice, and Howard's my biggest fan. I listen to him every day, and I love his songs, and he sings really good, and something about Howard makes me totally happy and little bonkers.
Now, before we go any further, it's worth noting that Wendy has experienced some trials and tribulations in the romance department. She'd long for someone to hold on to cherish, and invest her more sensitive and delicate emotions in. Howard had a history of helping members of the Whack Pack pursue romantic relationships, or just get them laid, and he was positive that he had a couple of suitors that'd make her heart skip a beat. First one up was Beetlejuice, a Puerto Rican bad man standing at 8 foot 9 inches, weighing a whopping 380 pounds. He doesn't take no shit, and he's got a large head. Oh, and he can also spell red. Wendy should consider herself very lucky that she got to bask in the holy presence of the mighty Beat. The other contestant was a star in his own right, Gary the Retard. He lacked his 2 top front teeth, so kissing and cunnilingus were his specialties. Ladies, hear me out. If things don't work out between Wendy and one of these fine fellas, there might just be a good fit here for you. Beetlejuice even brought along his current flame, Baby Juice, because he's such a damn player. However, Gary the Lover had caught a glimpse of her and had to give her a squeeze like the gentleman he is. No woman can resist the temptation of rubbing up against Gary. Fans were eager to finally hear Wendy's voice in high quality, sitting on the edge of their beds or car seats, awaiting Howard to bring her into the studio and begin the sought-after interview. Big days like this are what made the Stern Show so special in its prime. Wendy was nervous upon entering the studio, avoiding eye contact as she carefully navigated the room's floor plan. She sat down, sporting a bottle of Coca-Cola because sugar and caffeine are exactly the things that she needed right then. Howard and Robin were both excited. Neither of them had ever had the opportunity to meet one of their idols. I mean, Wendy did say that they're her fans. It's not often that you'll hear either host get this energized during their usual shows.
Wendy's nervous.
I can't believe this.
Wendy.
Yeah?
What are you doing? How did you like your trip to New York?
It was great, but we rode in a crazy storm.
Howard jumped right into asking Wendy questions about her trip to the Big Apple. She enjoyed her trip for the most part, mentioning that she, her brother, and their mother encountered a hellacious rainstorm when on the road and the other drivers were being assholes. Very typical for driving anywhere in the United States. It was a 24-hour drive, and during the entire commute, Wendy counted a grand total of 25 school buses while on the road. Wendy, of course, opted to stay awake the entire trip. She had to make sure that both drivers followed the map properly. I mean, this was a big deal for her. She loved the big city. She was taking photos of the sights as she saw them. You know, roads, trees, people, skyscrapers. Wendy the photographer knows what's up. The manipulation game got kicked off pretty quickly, with Howard asking Wendy about her interactions with the ever-so-charming Casey Armstrong. Howard sure did enjoy getting her to say yes to any question she was asked, but then again, it was pretty damn funny.
Isn't it true Casey raped you right before the show?
Yes.
Right. I knew it.
Wow, Casey.
That keeps happening.
We've told you about that.
Wendy, right now you're inside the radio.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
We're inside. We stuffed you inside a radio.
Yes.
After this, Howard asked Wendy to break down her usual routine, the schedule she adheres to on a day-to-day basis, a glimpse into the life of Wendy the busybody. She gets up at 4 in the morning, rising bright and early when people like me are just going to bed. But, to counter this, she also stays up late watching horror movies. With a lifestyle as luxurious as that, I totally understand why she does it. After getting up early and turning her radio to Howard, Wendy usually gets to work feeding her expansive list of rambunctious pets. Stern also made sure to check on the status of Wendy's mental handicap, inquiring as to whether or not she still actually lived up to the title of Wendy the Retard. Wendy surprisingly confirmed that she's in fact not intellectually disabled, but rather just a little slow.
When we say Wendy the Retard, are you clinically retarded?
No, not really.
No.
No.
You're not retarded?
No.
Are you slow?
Yeah, a little.
Howard just had to know more about Wendy's personal life, particularly her romantic interactions with the opposite sex. Howard wasn't shocked to learn that Wendy was inexperienced in this field, having never had sex, but she did have a little thing happen with a guy named Wesley. The furthest their relationship went was kissing, as Wendy was unable to pursue any further romantic endeavors with Wesley because he was cheating on her with another girl. Wouldn't it be fucked up if it was some other mentally challenged girl too?
So what's the furthest you've gone with a man?
When I was in school, I met what's his name? Wesley. We went to kindergarten. We all went to the same school, even Christina.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out that Wesley cheated on me, so I...
Did you kiss him? Was that the extent of it? Making out?
Yeah.
Tongue?
Yeah. And then he wouldn't kiss
No
somebody
tongue?
else?
No,
just on the lips?
Yeah.
Howard kept pressing her on this topic, asking if she really understood the mechanics of sexual intercourse, which she did admit that she was not entirely sure of. She knew of it because she had been watching the Discovery Channel with her grandmother, but her ability to absorb and retain information was yet to be seen. She had not even seen a penis, but she knew of them. There's just something about Howard asking a mentally challenged girl about her sexual proclivities that just feels wrong. But here I am talking about it. Imagine being a parent who enjoys the show and you've got to strategically lower the volume on the show while your kids are getting ready for school in the morning. It's not hard to see why Howard Stern and his show was such a controversial topic at the time. This kept going on for a while. They discussed whether or not Wendy had ever seen a man's wedding tackle in person, where babies came from, and if she ever wanted to pass on her genes to children of her own. This was undoubtedly a stimulating conversation. The American people were finally learning the honest-to-God, cut-and-dry, black-and-white truth about the world. And thank God it was all coming from the mouth of Wendy. Howard requested that Wendy take a piece of paper and draw a ding-dong on it to the best of her ability. This was a brilliant idea. Have someone draw a picture of a cock on a radio show. You know, something you listen to. Why didn't anybody else think of this? She spent a few minutes carefully sculpting a realistic depiction of a tallywhacker on the paper, smudging the lines carefully to shade the shaft, scribbling little curly hairs to complement the member. She worked hard while the show's host discussed whether or not Wendy, Beetlejuice, and Gary the mathematician would be capable of counting a handful of pocket change. The final picture was stunning, and it really was a beautiful portrait of a pee-pee. In actuality, the drawing was her rendition of Howard Stern, which is funny because he's also kind of a dick. So, in a way, she did exactly what she was asked. She was pretty generous and sized up his doodads in the caricature as well. Very classy, Wendy.
Wendy.
I'm done. I'm almost done.
Okay.
Let me see it. Wow, look at that.
What is that? Let me see.
She drew a picture
of a guy.
And look.
That's Howard.
And there's his
wow.
penis. There is my penis.
Oh, there is one there. Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Let me see it. Wow, not bad. That's very close.
Howard ushered in her potential lovers, Beat and Gary, for her to assess who'd be best fit for her crevasse. This was a big day for all parties involved, as any combination could lead to some steamy romance. Both candidates were ready and willing to show her a good time. This reminds me of those classic reality TV shows where people would compete to win the heart of the show's host. Only, this one's actually entertaining. The host admired Beat's slick outfit, while Gary the audio engineer was fumbling around with his headphones, having difficulty separating the wound-up wire from the appliance. Wendy stared in adulation as both men lit a fire in her belly and likely gave her gas. She was particularly smitten by Gary, whose missing front teeth really got her juices flowing. Wendy thought that his struggles with unwinding the headphones were funny, and everybody knows that making a girl laugh means that your foot is already in the door. Gary had better straighten his back and get ready to compete with Beetlejuice because some lovin' is on the line, damn it. Both contestants were trying to schmooze their way into a romantic outing with Wendy the Delectable, each person planning their work and working their plan. On one hand, Gary was inexperienced with women and could use this potential outing to better familiarize himself with the ladies. But Beat has had plenty of goes with many women, so he knows how to lay pipe and give the ladies what they desire. This was certainly a tough choice. The only reason I know for sure that Beat knows how to stir coochie is because I've seen a video of him double-teaming a prostitute with Dominic the Midget. Ugh. Don't believe me? Look it up for yourself. Despite Beetlejuice's incessant squawking, Gary put his lips up to his microphone and attempted to shoot his shot with Wendy. She sat on the couch, the gears turning behind her eyes, processing the carefully chosen words that Gary had arranged for her. It wasn't about sex or anything too intimate, he just thought the idea of taking her out of the town and doing something nice sounded like a good time. Wendy didn't seem opposed to the idea either. She took a moment to really crunch the numbers in her head, running the logistics on who'd be a better fit to make her swoon. Gary the edentulous sentinel, or the smooth-talking suave superstar that is Beetlejuice.
Oh, if you can do that, I'll go out more than that for another 10 hours.
All right. Well, Wendy, it's time to decide which lucky guy is going to win a date with you.
Gary.
Gary the retard.
I'll take you out, honey. Who got the most money?
Why did you choose Gary?
Who's the businessman?
Because Gary got the most talent.
Me?
He's
I got the most talent because I'm the one who got the money, honey.
After much pondering and deliberation, she chose Gary. She enjoyed his talent, whatever that means. Not to pick sides here, but I do think it's impressive that she was able to reject the advances of Beat. Not many women are strong enough to withstand Beetlejuice's attention. He didn't take the loss lightly either, as he was actually in total disbelief that somebody was actually successful in turning him down. He'd never been told no before. He's not used to this kind of treatment. We should all consider ourselves very lucky that he didn't try to tear down the studio in a fit of rage. I mean, it's not like he needed to be with Wendy as he already had baby juice, but whatever. Wendy's decision might have actually potentially came from a place of prejudice, and Robin wanted to get to the bottom of this. Wendy listed out her reasons as to why she wasn't too comfortable with certain groups of people, something Robin couldn't help but laugh at.
I can't ask Wendy what's wrong with blacks.
Sure, you could ask her anything you want. Wendy's very honest.
What's wrong with blacks?
Well, they don't have, potential, style, like stylists, like where, to, come up with a good, routine,
Right.
They don't.
No.
Oh.
Like
That's what I always said, Rob.
I see.
Like they have to practice a little bit more, like dancing, singing.
Really?
I have a karaoke machine at home, and I got about 150 different CDs and different songs.
Yeah.
Before Wendy and Gary could leave the studio and make their way to the streets to have a little fun in the big city, Howard had to stop Wendy one last time and figure out one more important thing that the fans were just dying to know. Did she pleasure herself?
No, I mean pleasure yourself.
I don't think she
Oh,
understands.
no.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
What is that?
Like touch yourself.
Right. You ever do that?
A little.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's fun. I guess that kills a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Guess you have lunch.
Unfortunately, we now have some level of understanding of the masturbatory habits of an intellectually disabled woman who happened to be a fan of a radio show. Don't you just love how the world works? We could have gone our whole lives without knowing such fascinating details, and here we are now. What a world. Wendy loved having the chance to meet Howard for the first time. She was amazed with Howard's stunning looks, because the wigged pelican was looking especially crusty that day. If you really think about it, Wendy was lucky enough to really live out the dream of your die-hard Stern fan, meeting her idol and having some of her more intimate details shared on the radio for millions of listeners. Oh, what a simple time it was. She was also giddy for her upcoming date with Gary, because Beat just wasn't her type. But come to think of it, what is her type?
Okay, now what is it about Beetlejuice that you didn't like?
Well, he's too short and he's not my, type.
What is your type?
White.
Gary and Wendy were nearly inseparable in the green room, with both having their arms wrapped around one another. It seemed as though the Stern Show had done an exceptional job in matchmaking once again. Now, the two lovebirds would make their way to a nearby bowling alley and play a few frames. This was a first date for the history books. Gary the Love Machine was quick to figure out what makes Wendy tick, and they both had a wonderful night of rolling balls down a waxed surface. If these two can have a great time together and pursue a bit of romantic intent, then you likely can too. Wendy was actually better at bowling than Gary, which is quite convenient, because the two would have a rematch at one point in the future. It's like it was foreshadowing this the whole time. A wonderful trait of Wendy is how willing she is to share her plentiful wealth of knowledge with anybody who's willing to listen. She's classically trained, knows all of the inner workings of the arts, and can debate unlike anyone else. She's a damn wordsmith, dudes. The Stern Show featured a little running skit of sorts where members of the staff or various guests would pass along vital information to their viewers. This, of course, would include Wendy. You could learn pertinent information from Howard's limo driver Ronnie regarding how to have better sex. Artie Lang would give tips about doing heroin, and Shuley would give tips on how to make a room go silent after a joke. The Stern Show reached out to Wendy, hoping to get her insight on life so that way they could incorporate her into this idea. I mean, who else is better fit for such a role than Wendy the Profound Thinker? She did give advice, only it was for things like pooping and eating without an adequate amount of teeth. Not exactly what I was expecting. I suppose I may need to use her advice at some point in my life, so I'll be tolerant. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit up straight and make sure your ears are open. Wendy's got a tip for you, and you may not be ready for how she lays out her experience.
Hi, this is Wendy The Slow Adult with a shitting tip. The best way I go dirty is I run and I have juicy squirts in the toilet, and for me to have juicy turns, if I don't make it to the toilet in time, I normally either shit in my diaper or have acid in my pants.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll keep that advice in my back pocket going forward. If I'm ever in a situation where I feel like I'm gonna evacuate my bowels into my jorts, I'll sprint across the house so as to not shit in my Huggies. I really don't know what I would do without her professional opinion, because honestly I never thought of just going to the bathroom like a normal person. Thanks, Wendy. Now really, I don't understand what this tip really was. Is the tip to wear a diaper in case you don't make it to the crapper in time? I mean, that's definitely a way you can prevent dookie from running down your leg, but it really doesn't solve much more than that. I'd wager that possibly, and hear me out here, going to the bathroom on a regular schedule might just prevent fecal incontinence, but yeah, sure, diapers are a decent band-aid solution. Wendy had even more to share on this topic. Now, I don't know how many of you have had to relieve yourself outside, but me? I used to play outdoors before I was immobilized by a diet of McDonald's and pastries. Those few of you that are active and actually do things outside might just be able to use this next bit of information from Wendy.
Hi, this is Wendy The Slow Adult with a shitting tip. I normally go out in the woods and duty. If somebody sees me, I don't give a damn. I don't give a shit. If I have to go, I have to go. If I don't have something white with this, what I use, either a t-shirt or a leaf. If I get duty in my private parts, I just leave it be. It just dries out. It's easy. It cleans itself.
That's a tip. Here's a tip. Don't ask Wendy for a tip.
Right.
Okay, so I think this one is worth breaking down. Firstly, don't shit in plain view of people. Nobody wants to watch you drop a steamer from your cheeks. Wendy may not care if anybody sees, but you, being a person of reason and understanding, know that there would likely be some significant legal repercussions if somebody happened to look into your yard and watch you pinch a loaf in broad daylight. A shirt and sock seems like a more applicable thing to use, but respectfully, I don't know if she'd have the foresight to throw it into the wash afterward. She'd probably just end up putting it back on despite the ass butter being smeared on it. And lastly, for the love of God, do not let the shit dry on you. Out of all of the possible places that she might let something crust over, she really thinks it's fine to leave butt paste around her private area? Good lord. Okay, maybe don't take her advice. This seems to be a bit out of touch, but I'm willing to live and let live. Wendy does her thing, I do mine. She's free to crust far, far away from me. So maybe the last two tidbits were a bit much. Maybe you don't need help taking a dump. Maybe you need help with the opposite end of your body. Some of you watching or listening might have issues with your health. It happens and you don't need to feel bad, especially because Wendy might be able to help you on that front. At the time of this bit on the show, Wendy had lost most if not all of her teeth due to drinking soda non-stop and just not taking care of her mouth. This brought forth complications for her, and there's very few things quite as irritating as oral discomfort getting in the way of enjoying a nice hearty meal. Wendy has mastered the method of chewing without chompers, and if you ever end up with a smile like a jack-o'-lantern, this advice might just work for you.
Hi, this is Wendy The Slow Adult. This is an eating without teeth tip. I put my gums together to squash the food. I can eat chips, but I have to suck them until I can chew them. I have to make the chips wet and soft, so I have to suck them until they're nice and soft, and then I can chew them.
Well, she certainly isn't wrong. You can just suck on food until it gets soft in your mouth, but I don't know, man. I've dealt with some dental pain before and that shit sucks. Not recommended. Nobody wants the sensation of having their jaw punched while eating, but something better than attempting to eat hard food would be just to eat soft things. Come on, you know a diet of nothing but mashed potatoes sounds exquisite, and I doubt Wendy would be complaining. And lastly, the final bit of info that Wendy willingly shared with us is how she takes care of her mouth.
Hi, this is Wendy The Slow Adult with a dental hygiene tip. You're supposed to brush your teeth more than a day and use mouthwash, but I don't have any teeth, so I just brush my gums. I brush my gums with bubblegum toothpaste. It tastes good. I like to eat it.
There you go. Little tip for you.
She brushes her gums.
Wendy wants you to think that she tries her best at regular dental hygiene, but the only issue here is that she only started doing the right thing after her pearly whites were ripped clean out of her skull, so now she has to just brush her gums. I mean, this is not a bad thing considering that a lack of teeth isn't an excuse to neglect one's own maw, but there is also something really funny about the mental image of her standing in front of a mirror, brushing her gums, using a shot of Mountain Dew to wash out any excess gunk. All in all, Wendy gave us sound and seasoned advice. She knows precisely what she's talking about, and I think going forward I will always consult her for her brilliant opinion. Say what you will, but I think Wendy's got life by the balls. You know, if there's one thing I do truly admire about Wendy, it's just how open she is. She'll gladly explain her viewpoints and won't mince words. She does have a strong relationship with spoken word. One time, Howard yet again tried to get Wendy's input on the mechanics of copulation and birth. It goes without saying that Wendy's understanding of sexual intercourse is quite limited, but you get the idea. Stern, a man who's known for featuring adult film stars on his show and discussing his interest in sex, forgot how to do the nasty. There's only one person he could think of reaching out to, and that was Wendy the Sexpert. Howard requested that Wendy explain the cold hard facts of life in a simple and concise way so that way Stern and his legion of listeners would be sure to understand. Wendy concentrated, trying her best to remember every single important step of the process. After laughing to herself and collecting her thoughts, she broke down the entire thing. And I have no doubts that Howard was relieved to relearn everything that he had previously forgot.
So tell me, how do you make a baby?
You stick the, you know what, in you, and then they do you, then when it's time to have a baby, it comes out through your pussy.
We should do one of those recordings with Wendy.
Yeah, no, just what you just said. This sounds like my conversation with Fred yesterday.
What she just said should be on tape. That's it. That's one sentence.
I'm glad that Wendy was there to help. Howard would certainly hold on to Wendy's knowledge of intercourse. You never know when you might need some assistance. Actually, speaking of that, Howard Stern is obviously known for being offensive and setting the bar for radio shock jocks, and this includes his comments regarding women and the disabled and sex and what have you. On one fateful day, he was jonesing for some steamy conversation to get the juices flowing. Stern's a wealthy guy, and while he may not be much of a looker, many women are still very interested in pleasing him to get money and attention. This unfortunately is just the way of the world. He answered his phone on air, ready to exchange some spicy dialogue with the gorgeous woman that was waiting for him on the other end of the line. It should come as no surprise that Wendy was the stunning individual that was waiting on the phone to get all hot and bothered with Howard. This call really did shock the hell out of me, and I don't think I can share too much from it, but I will say they do have some pretty damn intense phone sex. For those of you that can get off with just audio alone, this might be up your alley, but I'd have to question what exactly gets you going because, well, just think about it for a second. Wendy expressed her desire for the dirty, damp, and deep from Mr. Stern, totally surprising everybody in the studio who had to sit mortified while Howard talked to a very gooey Wendy.
Tell me what you want me to do to you.
I want you to bang me.
Bang you.
Yes.
And your mom?
With a hammer?
Yes.
You and your mom together?
Yes.
You want me to bang both of you?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Then what do you want me to do to you?
Then I want you to mess around my butt.
Thankfully, Wendy's mom was not around to hear this disgusting bit of adult play, as she was on a trip to Virginia. I do wonder if she eventually found out about this conversation. I mean, it's not like the show wasn't extremely popular at the time. Anybody that knew her mom could have had the potential to inform her about what her daughter was saying over the air to millions of people. I guess when the cat's away, the mice will play. And that just means that Wendy was going to start playing with herself. Just the type of thing that people wanted to hear about first thing as they started off their workday. If what Wendy was saying was true, that she was home alone without any supervision or responsibilities, I have to wonder what the hell her mom was thinking. I'm not trying to say that Wendy is totally and completely helpless, but someone should have been there to keep her in check. She's not a bad person, and she certainly isn't malicious in any way, but she's got the mind of a child that's been corrupted by the raunchier side of the Stern Show. She probably doesn't need to be left alone with adult media, as at this point she was just moseying around the house buck naked and having would-be phone sex with a radio personality. I do suppose there are many other awful things that she could have done, but she also doesn't need to be inserting her fingers into certain spots while on the phone. Actually, I take it back. She did have one responsibility, her pets, and one of them was getting to work on her crack. That's certainly a rough tongue to be letting near any delicate bits.
Are the pets gone too?
Yep, my cat's licking my butt.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. Poor cat. Cat's licking your ass?
Yep.
Yep.
It would turn out that Wendy had been sort of spiraling in the absence of supervision, as she managed to get her hands on some booze and subsequently ingested the funny fluids. She had actually left a voicemail when she was under the influence of liquid courage.
Yeah! That's me, damn it! It's me! What the fuck? Yeah! I'm in
been drinking like fucking crazy, man.
Retard's gone wild.
I was going to say, is there anything better than a drunken retard?
Become me.
Fuck this shit. God damn it. Bull fucking shit.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Fire! Fire!
She is Artie.
Now, respectfully, why did she have access to this stuff? She's alone, letting a cat lick her ass, and she's been drinking? I'm sure this isn't an unusual routine for some people, but I think she'd be better suited to a much more grounded and healthy lifestyle than the one she was leading at that time. Wendy claimed that her drinking stemmed from missing her father, who had unfortunately passed away prior to this point. This is understandable. Death is a tremendous burden on the human psyche, and Wendy had every reason to hurt and miss dear old dad, but she probably still didn't need to have access to the hard stuff, with her vice of choice allegedly being Jack and Coke, but I have my doubts about that one. A previous event in Wendy's life was brought to the discussion where she, in a stunning act of brilliance, rammed a tomato up her ass crack. That's right, she buried a berry in her butt, and when it came out, she gave it a bite. She even confirmed that it still tasted like a tomato. That's certainly a better outcome rather than tasting like shit.
Remember when you put that tomato in your ass?
Yes, I did.
Were you drunk when you did that?
Yes, I did.
That's dangerous, I think. What happened to the tomato?
I ate it. It was good. It tastes like a tomato.
It still tasted like a tomato.
Yes.
I could never have a tomato again then.
In her mind, it was totally fine because it tasted good even after being inserted into her poop chute. Now, I don't think I need to explain why it's not a good idea to push fruits and vegetables into your dookie canal, and why it's an even worse idea to eat them after they've been glazed with booty butter, but it only continues to get more depraved from here. She also admitted to inserting fingers into the same crevice that once housed a particularly bruised tomato, and Wendy felt compelled to explain how she cleans her digits after digging around in her ass.
Have you ever put anything else in your butt?
I put, what is it, my finger?
Finger?
Yes.
You don't eat that after, do you?
No, I suck on my finger.
Oh, man.
It should go without saying that it's extremely hard to verify the validity of Wendy's statements. On one hand, she is intellectually disabled and may just be saying the silly things that come to mind, even if they're disgusting and offensive. There's also the possibility that she's just saying things that she knows will get a response out of the show's host, and they might have even given her some direction prior to this call. There's many things to consider here, and I think the most important takeaway is to not read into it too deeply. Wendy is just Wendy. Take her as she is, and you won't be disappointed. The conversation about her butt and tomatoes naturally moved on to the topic of her survival, such as how she was taking care of herself in the absence of guardianship. Artie Lang wanted to know more about Wendy's survival habits, because let's be realistic, she might not be the type of person you want operating a gas stove. Wendy had been ordering Pizza Hut for days. She was undoubtedly hitting all of the food groups. You've got several of those here. There's grains in the dough, you've got dairy with the cheese, fruits and vegetables in the tomato sauce and various toppings, and of course protein for any meat-based toppings as well. She also had a friend that she could rely on to bring her McDonald's when the tummy rumbling became too much and the diarrhea from back-to-back Pizza Hut rendered her tomato crusher incapacitated. All things considered, this was quite the spectacle, and I long for the better days of the Stern Show. I mean, really, what other show brought on people like Wendy and discussed things like fruit insertion and clogged toilets? They may not have been the most highbrow conversations, but somehow the show always kept me hooked. This was undoubtedly top-tier entertainment.
Sometimes is it hard to flush the toilet?
Yeah.
Oh. Let's wait.
I overflowed the toilet last night.
Really?
Do you ever think about chopping it up with an axe?
Yeah.
Another fantastic attribute of her lovely personality is just how much she loves to entertain. This woman goes out of her way to say unusual things, commit acts that most people would be too embarrassed to engage in, and generally just puts her foot in her mouth in an endearing way. If Howard tells her to jump, she doesn't ask how high or attempt to do it in a particular fashion. She just does it. So, when Howard proposed the idea of her and Gary the Smooth Singer performing a duet for the show, she was more than happy to oblige. Years ago, prior to a boxing match that Stern was arranging, Howard was working on getting some side entertainment for the the event. You know, maybe a few smaller matches before the main event or some kind of sideshow attraction that'd make the audience erupt into a cacophony of applause. Howard was interviewing Gary the dulcet toned over the phone, discussing Gary's many dental issues. He was going to have some of his top teeth removed and he didn't seem too enthused about the idea. During this call, Howard asked Gary if he'd be willing to perform a duet of I Got You Babe with a fellow mentally challenged adult. Gary, of course, was totally on board. Wendy was on the other phone line. Howard merged the calls and introduced the two to each other. It was like a match made in heaven, and I'm not going to point out the obvious reasons why. I already know what you're thinking. Anyway, Wendy was all for the idea. She also offered support for Gary, bringing up how she had also had teeth removed as well, but the process was easy because the dentist put her under. Gary appreciated the reassurance. Howard initially wanted to figure out who was the most intelligent between the two, and began to question each of them to test their mental acuity. Robin was pretty sure that Wendy was the most intelligent between the two, and I have to agree. Not dogging on Gary here, but he has a significantly harder time following a conversation than Wendy does, or at least that's what I've been able to deduce. The first question was a really tricky one. Howard wanted to know if they knew who the first president of the United States of America was. Now, my lovely viewer, I want you to think long and hard about this one. Who the hell was the first commander-in-chief? Let's listen to Gary's answer, and then we'll consult Wendy.
Who was the first president of the USA?
President Nixon.
President Nixon. Okay, let's go to Wendy. Wendy, who was the first president?
George Bush.
Okay.
Damn, so close. I mean, well, Gary wasn't even remotely correct, but Wendy did have part of the first president's name right, so that should count for something. It's just, well, George Bush was, you know what? Never mind. The next couple of questions were also brain twisters. Howard asked Gary and Wendy two distinct questions regarding the color of traffic signs and lights. Both of them focused with class, no hesitation between the two, each of them locked into the game.
What color is a stop sign, Gary?
Red.
Ooh.
Look at him.
Got on that one.
Look at him.
Wow. All right, let me ask Wendy one. What color is the light at the at the stoplight when you have to go?
Green.
All right. All right.
Wendy.
Yeah. All right,
Red means stop.
and red means stop.
Now, tell me guys, how many have you gotten right so far? I'm willing to bet nowhere near our stars here. Next up, another mind-boggler. Roosters. Are they male or are they female? The world wanted to know.
A rooster. Is that a female or a male chicken?
A rooster? Female.
Okay, now let's see if Wendy can get this one right.
A male.
She already answered. There you go.
All right, Wendy might be smarter.
She's one ahead of you, Gary.
Yeah.
Gary struggled with this one, and I don't blame him. What classification does a cock belong to, really? I suppose these days you might receive some more varied answers, but I don't know. The important thing here is that Wendy was the one to answer this question accurately. The girl knows her way around a chicken. But to truly quantify the difference between these two brilliant minds and their varying intellectual capabilities, Howard asked the most confusing and complicated question yet. He, alongside his many listeners who were attentively listening to their stereo boxes, wanted to know how to spell trouble. That's a big word with a lot of letters. Wendy stopped and pondered this question, running the numbers, crunching the tables and graphs, coming to the following conclusion.
Spell trouble.
Trouble. Alright, let me think. Alright, trouble. Trouble.
Wow. All right, Gary.
That's my girl.
What?
She just blew you away.
Just tell Gary to spell trouble.
Gary, you spell trouble.
T-R-U-B-E.
Both Howard and Robin were ecstatic that Wendy was able to spell trouble, because it's such an arduous task. Not even Gary could pull it off after hearing it spelled correctly just a moment before. Great job, Wendy. After the two had a battle of wits, they followed up with an exchange of rhetoric, arguing who was more successful and had more friends and a better life. All of those really weighty things that drag down people like them. It's like a non-stop contest for these two. They really should get a room. But I have to say, I really do adore talk radio, and there's a lot to be said about how entertaining it was to listen to two more people argue and bicker with each other for minutes at a time. I'm not talking about debates over politics or something stupid like that. I want the real stuff, coverage and discussion of the human condition as seen by people from all different walks of life. Call me insensitive, but this exchange really does scratch that itch for me.
Wendy, you know what? I had more fun than you did when I went to Las Vegas for college. I had more fun than you had.
Oh, yeah? I had more fun than you. I had more fun than you because I hang out with my friends at the bowling alley every Saturday.
Well, I went to New York. I mean, I went to Las Vegas and I had loads of friends.
Oh, yeah? I don't think so, because I got more friends than you, and plus I sing more, and plus I didn't sing I've been listening to more radio stations than you, and I'm popular more than you, so I know more radio station DJs than you.
But now, it was time for the big event. Gary and Wendy had dropped their opinions, the debate died down, and they had to work together to bring a song to life. Howard began to play the instrumental to I Got You Babe, and everything just kind of fell into place. You can't rush perfection, buddy. Wendy and Gary tried their best to keep up, but the music was too fast. This, however, did not stop them from feeling the vibes and the rhythm rock their body, singing along as best as they could, even if it was off tune.
Can you hear the music?
Yes.
All right. They say, you start this, Gary, wait.
Go ahead, Gary.
Get in there, Gary. I got my work cut out for me. I only got a month before the fight.
I got you, babe.
Go ahead, Gary.
I got you.
Get in there.
You know, the top of it.
It's a duet.
I can't.
What do you mean you can't jump in?
I can't jump in.
I got flowers in my hair. I got retards.
I got you, babe.
All right, girls and guys. We'll be back with Tom Green right after.
You guys keep practicing.
It's a damn shame that they never got a deal with a record label or anything. I'd be at every single one of their shows. Wendy has also participated in a handful of events, particularly bowling competitions. For whatever reason, The Howard Stern Show had this persistent obsession with bowling competitions, and Wendy the Bowling Champion is someone who has never shied away from such a task. On May 13, 2004, Wendy participated in a round of retard bowling, in which she competed against Gary the Ball Roller and ultimately won. The two held their game in Howard's hotel suite at the Hard Rock Casino and Hotel, which just so conveniently had an alley for the two to battle on. The game went on for about 10 minutes. Both contestants tried their best to outperform each other, haphazardly rolling balls down a lane to knock down some pins. Somehow, some way, Wendy managed to overcome her competition just by following the rules. Meanwhile, Gary ineffectively flung his ball to no actual score. It was quite the spectacle to witness, and Wendy took her win with ease and grace. This challenge would later inspire Wendy to pursue more successes in this field, and nobody was quite ready for the impact that she'd have on the bowling industry. Wendy's skirmishes with Gary the General have inspired many, but to say they had a major impact on the Stern Show and its listeners would be an understatement. But Wendy was yet to meet her true intellectual match until 2005, when the Stern Show put her up against Miss Howard Stern. Now, for those of you that aren't too well versed in the Stern Show's lore, Howard Stern used to hold beauty pageants of sorts for women to compete in. These were all incredibly lowbrow, as it was mainly based around whether or not a woman had a cute face and nice tits. It was your typical classless fanfare that the show was known for. Miss Howard Stern Andrea, full name Andrea Ownby, was one of the lucky girls who got to wear the name of a tired old wig-wearing radio DJ. She deserves her own video, but to simply explain her now, she's a blonde, idiotic woman who was actively destroying her life with drugs and booze, and she was also pretty easy. I'm sure your mind can fill in the blanks. Miss Howard Stern was never known for her intelligence, and to be quite honest, it was just her boobs and her overall lack of intelligence that made her so unique. People sure do love a ditzy blonde, but they really love a stupid one even more. Howard and Artie weren't entirely sure who was smarter between the two, Wendy and Andrea. Howard was convinced that perhaps Andrea was going to be smarter than they were expecting, but Artie was swayed in the other direction. Not because Wendy is a deep thinker, but rather that Andrea is just dumb as rocks. With Andrea being a drunk and Wendy being mentally deficient, this was set up to be a pretty evenly scaled match, all things considered. While Wendy was her usual hunky-dory self, enjoying the world as it came to her, Andrea was down in the dumps. It turns out day drinking wasn't exactly the brightest move on her part. She gets emotional and threatens to harm herself when she doesn't get her way after a few sips of liquor. I can't even imagine drinking that early in the morning. Hell, I'd argue that Wendy can handle her drink better than Andrea. Howard announced that not only would there be a level of shame for Andrea if she lost, but there was a $5,000 prize looming over the contest, so both parties were more than incentivized to perform well in the competition. Wendy entered the studio ready to win big. Howard brought up the fact that, compared to Andrea, Wendy didn't have much going on in the boob department. Andrea reassured Wendy that if she won the game's pot, she'd be able to get fake knockers just like her. I'm sure that was one hell of a motivator for Wendy the flat-chested. The topic of her chest eventually moved on to whether or not it would be acceptable to have sex with Wendy because, to Howard's estimation, Wendy had about the mental acuity of a 9-year-old. He brought up this conundrum with her, but it was settled that as long as he asked her mom for permission, it was fine.
Would a guy go to jail for having sex with you?
Mm-mm.
Without your mother's consent?
Oh, yeah. Not without permission, yeah.
Wow.
I don't understand. I don't know.
What?
Do you think your mom would give me permission to have sex with you?
Mm-hmm.
She would?
Mm-hmm. Has she given anybody else permission?
No.
Oh.
Just me?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this, but the two girls began to dance ironically to appease the show's host. From how it was described, Wendy was busting it the fuck down while Andrea showed everyone that she totally wasn't a stripper. This show used to have so much class. After all of the distractions, it was finally time for the game. The questions were fierce. Both contestants were shaking in their boots. Andrea was asked what was put in balloons to make them float, and somehow she answered helium. I expected her to say something totally ignorant, but that also works. Wendy followed up by answering the following question.
Wendy, a chicken sits on an egg to make it do this.
Hatch.
Correct.
Man,
I didn't know that. I told you she was smarter than
Well,
me.
let's see.
Andrea was then asked what letters are used for short for intelligence quotient. This went right over her head and she immediately gave up. Wendy was given a similarly tricky question, but at least she tried to answer to the best of her ability. That's certainly quite an achievement compared to Andrea's tendency to just give up.
Wendy, when driving a car, what does the letter N stand for on an automatic shift? Shh. Don't help. Shh.
Nishan?
Nishan? No.
I forgot.
It's neutral.
This went on for a good while, and it's honestly not worth breaking down every single last question. But the competition did end with Andrea beating Wendy by only a narrow margin. Wendy took the loss well. She didn't shed any tears or make a scene, and it's also safe to say that it was probably best for Miss Howard Stern to get the money because she was in her early 20s and already had a kid, on top of being a massive mess. You can say a lot of things about Wendy, but one thing is definite: she's not a sore loser. If nothing else, she was smart enough not to have a kid at 16, and she finished high school. There was once a time where Wendy called into the show to ask if there was anything she could do for money. I know, shocker, right? At least this time, she was offering to do some kind of work in exchange for payment, rather than begging for pity bucks like her mother demanded that she did many times before. Robin and Howard were making little joke remarks about Wendy calling in for some cash, as per usual, and Howard made a passing comment about how cruel Robin was. Wendy actually suggested that Robin is a lot like Wendy's own evil twin. Yep, you heard that right. Wendy tried to convince the show's host that she had a vicious and vile doppelganger. This evil twin doesn't necessarily follow the tropes that they typically do, like trying to make the good version of themselves fall into misfortune by framing them for bad actions or something like that. No, not even close. This person or entity is trying to influence Wendy into neglecting herself, like avoiding showers and other types of proper hygiene.
Robin's so mean, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
I mean, she sounds like my evil twin. I have an evil twin that I talk to myself.
Is that right?
And my evil twin doesn't like what I do.
Right. The voice in your head says...
My evil twin tells me not to take a shower, and I say, yes, I'm taking a shower.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The evil twin's name is Wendy Jr. I suppose that's a fitting name, but it also implies more of a direct relation to Wendy beyond just being an evil version of her. This moniker implies that she's a smaller version of Wendy, as if she had a kid and bestowed her name upon it. Did Wendy shit out an evil munchkin and try to pass it off as some kind of unholy abomination? Howard was intrigued by this because it's not every day that somebody tells you about their evil twin. And given the fact that this character allegedly tried to convince Wendy to not take care of herself, he questioned what the person said when Wendy dropped a duty in her diaper.
And what does the evil twin say when you shit your pants?
Tell me to go fuck off.
Right. Wow. So when you do something bad, the evil twin tells you to fuck off?
Yes.
Wow. Does the evil twin approve of you diving into the dumpsters?
Yes.
She likes that?
Yes.
Wow, what do you think of that, an evil twin?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And the evil twin sounds like Robin.
The evil twin even tries to get her to commit crimes. This sounds more like an intrusive thought than some kind of doppelganger, because as I mentioned before, they tend to do things that would later get attributed to the non-evil person. Wendy, like most of us, fights intrusive thoughts all the time. Sure, who hasn't gone to the zoo and contemplated how awesome it'd be to use a giraffe as our main form of transport? We've all considered this, but we don't do it. And sometimes we all debate beating up the Salvation Army Santa Claus outside a Walmart just to feel something. But we also understand the consequences of such an action. Thankfully for us, and of course Wendy, she knows right from wrong.
Does the evil twin ever tell you to commit a crime?
Yes, sometimes. But I say to myself, I'm not my evil twin tells me, go rob that money truck. When I see a money truck pulls up by Walmart, I said, no, I'm not going to.
Right. Wow. You know that the evil twin will get you into trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
Additionally, her evil twin has tried to get her to harm people like High Pitch Eric. Now, to be completely honest with you, I don't think it's an uncommon desire to administer some physical punishment to someone who has it coming, and High-Pitch Eric is definitely one of the most obtuse and unlikable people in existence, as far as the whack pack goes anyway. Wendy and her evil twin are justified in wanting to give him the old why-I-oughta.
But does the evil twin ever tell you to, like, hurt someone?
Yeah, my evil twin told me to kick High-Pitch Eric's ass because I'm getting really tired of High-Pitch Eric's act now. He's never going to grow up, and, he needs to quit threatening and try to kill people because, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I'm just getting ready to kick his ass. That's why I haven't talked to him any.
Wendy even alleged that this evil twin or some other bad actor had been breaking into her personal electronic accounts, changing her passwords, deleting her Amazon wish list, and sending her photos of their doodads. Now, I have some logistical questions about all of this. Like does she have any evidence to support her claims? I've got this slight feeling that she might be embellishing the story a bit if any of this actually happened. Let's say someone did hack into her Amazon account. Why would they remove her wish list? What would they even gain from that when she could just make another one and fill it up with more junk that she didn't need? I'm willing to bet that she lost access to the account, had to make a new one, and then she was confused that the new account didn't have a wish list. As for the photos of tallywhackers, I have no idea. Probably some bullshit that Jeff Bezos was pulling. I've actually heard that's a potential benefit of having Prime. To everyone's surprise, Wendy's evil twin also knew the number to punch into the phone to get a hold of Howard Stern. Howard connected her to the broadcast line, revealing to the world how dastardly and unpredictable this twin was. Maybe Wendy wasn't telling tall tales after all. She didn't even seem remotely fazed by any of this. If nothing else, she seemed like maybe she was satisfied that her claims were proven. Maybe I've been too harsh on the girl. She clearly has a lot going on in her personal life.
Yes, hi, Wendy's evil twin.
You should join ISIS.
Ooh.
Shit in your hand and throw it at a stranger. Yes.
Wendy, that's her.
Yeah. Blow up a dumpster. Yes.
Right.
Forget the bus schedule. Yes. You shut up. He's already married.
Right.
Kill.
Oh, dear.
All right.
But enough was enough. She told her evil twin to fuck off back to wherever it came from. The villainous clone had no choice but to return from whence it spawned. In the year of our Lord 2013, the Howard Stern Show greenlit a side project that would give us a greater insight into the world of whackpackers and frequent show guests. This included visits to people like Bigfoot and Sour Shoes, but the most important figure to be followed around for this program was Wendy. This mini-documentary featuring Wendy the Superstar released on September 3rd, 2013 to much fanfare, as people had been waiting for so long to dive deeper into Wendy's wacky world. John Lieberman acknowledges that a handful of in-person appearances and sporadic phone calls could only reveal so much about Wendy's life, and the only way to get the full story was to get it directly from Wendy's mouth. Both that and maybe the people that are around her. Wendy resides in a double-wide trailer just a bit of a drive away from the sunny beaches of Daytona, Florida. It had been some years since Wendy had actually shown up for an in-person event or appearance, and her looks had certainly changed in that time. Her weight had picked up astronomically and her teeth had further decayed due to her unchecked hygiene. But, despite all of this, she was still moving around and thrilled to meet her interviewer. Immediately upon entering her home, Lieberman had the chance to meet the slew of cats that were under Wendy's care. Their names were Tigger, Mario, Luigi, Blacko, Nice Bob, Mean Bob. Thankfully, Wendy wasn't left to her own devices, as she had her nephew Jesse to look after, and her own mother on standby in the other room just in case Wendy needed some help. Wendy had actually been making quite a name for herself in the local bowling circles, having joined a bowling team after her successes with the Whack Pack bowling games. She even managed to get herself a trophy. Her team was named the Funtime Bowlers, and they managed to outdo their competition time and time again. So much so that they even got a spot in the local paper. Come to think of it, you just don't hear about people going bowling anymore. It's yet another bit of whimsy that has been collectively sucked out of Western civilization. Oh, to go back to simpler times. It was revealed that Wendy's mother was initially skeptical of her daughter's involvement with the Stern Show. She'd come home and ask her daughter what she did while Mother Dearest was out earning her paycheck, and Wendy would reply that she had been talking to Howard. It's fair that she was unsure about the validity of Wendy's claims at first, but nobody could have predicted the immense amount of impact that Wendy would have on the show. It wasn't until she heard the tape recordings of her daughter on the show that she realized that Wendy had actually been on the radio broadcast, having uncouth conversations with the show's hosts. I mean, put yourself in her shoes for a second. You've got a disabled adult at home that you love and care for, but you can't keep an eye on them all day because you have to work. You come home and your loved one tells you that they were on the phone with a world-famous shock jock, and then it's finally proven to you by witnessing video-recorded evidence of said radio host having would-be phone sex with your disabled family member. What the hell would you even do at that point? While most people would have been offended or disgusted that their disabled family member was taking part in such conversations for everyone to hear, Wendy's mom was actually appreciative that her daughter was happy. Sure, the topics that were talked about on the show weren't exactly family-friendly and could be seen as one-sided or manipulative, but Wendy enjoyed calling in, so her mom saw that as the silver lining. If nothing else, it gave Wendy something to look forward to. Her mother explained that she feels no negative emotions toward Howard, and believes that he has always been fair to Wendy and gave her many opportunities to help make her life more fulfilling. Wendy is immensely grateful for the love that she's received from fans and the many people that worked on the show, and it's given a larger-than-life feeling to her existence. In her own way, she's made a Wendy-shaped impact on the world. Lieberman's investigative reporting shed light on Wendy's day-to-day routine, starting with where she'd listen to the show in the early mornings. Her radio setup was in her bedroom, complete with some Stern-related signage and her stuffed animals waiting attentively on the bed to tune into the show. She even had some donuts in the bed in case she got hungry, which is pretty smart and some good preemptive planning on her part. The floor of her throne room was littered with piles of clothing, and this was because she couldn't maintain a static wardrobe due to her body size continually growing. Maybe the bedtime suites aren't exactly a good idea. She tried to combat her growth by using Richard Simmons' exercise videos, which, allow me to be frank here, she's probably only purchased because of his association with the Stern Show, and going on walks. Judging by the size she was in this mini documentary and how she tends to look these days, I think Richard Simmons might have let her down. Another point of Wendy that was further looked into was her claims of dumpster diving. These claims had originally been made before she had moved to the double-wide trailer, so perhaps her change in residence signaled a more prosperous lifestyle for the last few months. Wendy said that this was still a persistent activity that she would engage in, because money was still very tight. When it wasn't food drive day at church, she and her family had no choice but to crawl into dumpsters in search of sustenance. Despite the financial troubles, her family was fortunate enough to have access to a nearby lake, where they'd fish for dinner and hunt hogs for additional meat. Not a bad deal, all things considered. That definitely had to cut down on the expensive food. But I also feel like this would probably negate their need to dumpster dive, but I'm not here to pass judgment. This wasn't the only sad thing revealed by the visit, as Lieberman was also able to uncover the story of what had happened to Wendy's father. 7 years prior to the documentary, Wendy's father, who was nicknamed Wild Bill, passed away due to a heart attack. His body was discovered by Wendy, who had brought him his lunch and noticed that he was staring at the ceiling and wasn't breathing or moving. She misses her dad a lot, and it's a shame that she lost him so young. Her family's financial issues appear to have affected the handling of her father's remains, with his ashes still residing inside of a temporary container at the time of the recording. Wendy expressed fond memories of her father taking her and her sisters out to the woods to go camping, roasting marshmallows over a fire. Her father was very proud of Wendy's involvement with the show, appreciating how much of a positive influence Howard had on her life. But not everything around her has negative emotions attached to it, as every Sunday she got to go out to Ormond Lanes, a local arcade and bowling alley where she makes her moves as the local bowling champion. She absolutely smoked Lieberman's ass in various arcade games, and narrowly lost to him when it came to rolling balls down polished surfaces. Her major successes inspired her to participate in the bowling segment of the Special Olympics, believing that she is worthy of a gold medal. Of course, this never went anywhere. Besides, I think she's worth a hell of a lot more, and I admire her passion. But her luck and prowess wasn't just honed in on bowling, but also gambling. She played the lottery and also enjoyed the McDonald's Monopoly advertising campaign, and to nobody's shock, she never won. But I bet, given her experience, that she'll always get a hell of a lot closer to winning than you or I ever will. Now, don't let Wendy's limited capabilities fool you. Her abundance of free time has given her the chance to catch up with one of the finest art forms ever created, cinema. I don't know about you, but I sure do love plopping my fat ass down on a couch and picking out on some snacks while watching movies, just like God intended. Wendy opts to participate in the same kind of hobby. You would probably assume that her favorite movie genre would be comedy or something more oriented towards children, but Wendy has had a strong interest in horror movies since she was a young girl. Her favorite slasher flick is Nightmare on Elm Street, because Freddy Krueger is just so freaky and eye-catching. On July 30th, 2007, Wendy began a recurring habit of calling the Stern Show, namely Richard and Sal's phones, impersonating Freddy Krueger. Something about watching those movies got her all excited and spooky, calling in to give Richard Christie the willies. Despite his profoundly meager mental acuity, Richard made sure to archive the messages left on his answering machine and provided it to Howard, who promptly played it on air for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, Richard, this is Freddy Krueger again. I'm gonna come and get you in your sleep, Richard. I'm gonna gut you as a pig. I'm gonna get you, Richard, in your dreams. This is Freddy Krueger. I'll come and get you.
Oh.
Freddy Krueger out.
On July 23, 2008, Wendy called into the show to say hi for the first time in a long time. She had been busy looking after her family, watching movies, going bowling. Her schedule was quite packed during this time, which impacted her ability to call in. During this conversation, Howard identified the iconic Nightmare on Elm Street theme coming through Wendy's phone, asking her just how many times she had watched that movie to completion. Wendy said that the current viewing that she was in the middle of was about the 200th time that she had seen it. That's a lot of screen time for Freddy in anybody's life, especially when you're disabled. But then again, what's the worst she could do? Howard asked Wendy if she understood that horror movies aren't real, which Wendy did have a grasp on, sharing that she watches movies like that because it's just something to do. She also explained that she likes to daydream and fantasize about slaying people in the same way as Freddy Krueger. But when asked about whose head she was sneaking into during their sleep, she confirmed that she only did it to her mom. I'm sure her mom is thrilled that she can't even escape Wendy during her slumber. After this, Howard proposed an exciting scenario for Wendy, the classic marry, fuck, kill, and her choices were Freddy Krueger, Chucky from Child's Play, and Michael Myers from Halloween. She ultimately chose to marry Chucky, kill Freddy, and bone Michael. Hell of a choice, Wendy. Hell of a choice. Unfortunately, Wendy doesn't appear on the show much these days, if at all. This is part of a growing trend for the show where whackpackers are more and more neglected as time moves on. If you've watched any of my other videos regarding the Whack Pack, then you'll know that Stern's involvement with these people started to taper off in the mid-2010s. However, there are still some pretty great happenings involving Wendy from this time. On January 27, 2016, Wendy participated in a unique event for the show called the Special People's Court. Before Judge Wendy could be taken seriously for her role, Howard wanted to make sure that she was actually intellectually disabled, to which she confirmed.
Wendy, you are officially retarded, right?
Yes.
Right.
I'm half retarded and half human.
You're half retarded, half human.
Yes.
Yeah. Your mom is human and your dad's retarded?
Yes.
And when they made it, it made a half retarded person and a half human?
Yes.
Yes. All right, that's all we wanted to know.
Thank you.
Wendy had to pass judgment over a case that was brought to the Special People's Court. Fred the Elephant Boy was making claims that High Pitch Eric had made threats against his life on social media. This was a very serious matter, as it was part of a long line of aggressive crimes that High Pitch had committed during his reign of terror when he was still able to somewhat get around. This case was already hard to follow due to Elephant Boy suffering from acute mush of the mouth, and High Pitch being, well, high-pitched. But Wendy made it worse with her complications with eating.
Why do you continue to tweet?
What is going on? The fuck is that?
What is that, Wendy? What are you doing?
I was taking a drink of my Mountain Dew and it went up my nose.
Oh, boy.
Can you lay off the Mountain Dew?
Yes.
All right, good.
Despite this, Wendy was probably a poor pick for a judge, as she was unable to decipher what twisted up words were falling out of Elephant Boy's mouth. She ultimately sided with Fred the Elephant Boy, because you know what? High Pitch thinks he can throw his weight around, and that just isn't okay. Fuck you, High Pitch. High Pitch Eric's punishment was getting face-first farts from Will the Farter. I really wish I could show it to you, but I really can't take that kind of risk. Go on YouTube and search All Rise for Special People's Court. See it for yourself. Another standout occasion was when Wolfie, another person who worked for Stern, went out to visit Wendy in a similar fashion as John Lieberman. He actually took the initiative and went with Wendy while she was searching for food in dumpsters. While I don't have video footage of this, I do have audio, and it's about as bad as you have likely come to expect. Wendy certainly has a stronger stomach than I do, that's for sure.
Now this next dumpster is really smelly.
It's meat.
This is the meat dumpster?
Yes, this is the meat dumpster.
What are some of the good things that you look for in the meat dumpster?
Shrimp, pork chops, whatever.
Some of these smells are making me nauseous.
Well, I know.
That smell.
But this is just where things kinda stop. Wendy isn't involved much with the Stern Show anymore, just like the many other whackpackers that have been thrown to the side by the show in an attempt to appease a more broad and general audience. Howard and company had stopped referring to Wendy as Wendy the Retard, instead calling her Wendy the Slow Adult, which, let's be honest, doesn't have the same oomph as her original name. She's still living in squalor, surrounded by clutter and trash, just as she was years ago. She's active on YouTube on her own official channel, called The Wendy Pack. She often streams with a collection of people that have decided to orbit her of all folks. Some years ago, I was investigating a bizarre community I only knew as the Dramasphere on StreamYard. StreamYard is a service where you can host and join in on active live streams, much in the same vein as the old Google Hangouts. This community that I discovered was filled with a slew of bad actors, fake life coaches, and people who gather information to dox those that they have stupid online disagreements with. A bunch of life ruination, more or less. She was treated as though she was some kind of pet. People can bring her onto a stream for laughs, and she generally doesn't seem to notice that people use her. They'd poke her with a stick, get her involved in senseless drama, and make her online life a living hell. I recall seeing a video archive of her crying in a stream around 2020 to 2021 thereabout, and unfortunately I've been unable to find this video, but I know that I saw it. A video uploaded by Laura Hawk, titled "Those That Used Wendy Pack," claims that she was enlisted by people in that community. She gave money to certain people, others would try to involve her in their drama, and somehow they managed to get a photo of her breast, which of course got spread around that group. And I guess somebody impersonated a friend of hers and bullied her to the point of her crying on a stream. Absolutely fucking sickening. I'm not going to pretend that I'm the arbiter of the situation and know the full story. I just know that it's all reprehensible. I genuinely hope that Wendy has escaped the people that were abusing her, and maybe now her online presence can be significantly more peaceful. Wendy Pack is without a doubt one of the greatest guests that the Howard Stern Show ever had, and a hallmark of the Whack Pack. She has entertained so many people, brought even more fans together, and we should all be thankful for everything that she's done for us. She taught us how to safely shit our pants, what horror movies are best, how to make a good first impression on the radio, and who could forget how she taught us to choose a good man. I adore the Whack Pack and the impact that it had on the radio waves, and I long for the better times of the Stern Show when he still featured these unusual stars. Wendy is a shining example of the group, still functioning and making her way around, basking in the glory of her former fame. I hope this video taught you a good bit about Wendy the Champion, and I also hope it'll inspire you to seek out archives of Wendy's involvement with the Stern Show. Her appearances and calls are a riot, and I think we could all use a little comic relief now and then. She's a treat, and I can't wait to go back and listen to her crazy stories yet again. But with that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. If you like what I do, leave a comment, rate, and subscribe. If you want to support me in a more personal way, you can check out the Patreon link and the Teespring link in the description. I've also got a Newgrounds account if art stuff is your thing. I've got more content coming down the pipeline. But until then, I'll see you degenerates next time.